Hi, what is up YouTube? It's your girl Londi and welcome to Study with Londi. On today's episode, we'll be doing a sonnet by William Shakespeare. So sit back, relax, and let's get into today's video. In the first line, we have the poet and he is comparing his lover's eyes to the sun, but he's saying that they're nothing like the sun. So they're not bright, they're not shining. There's nothing special about his lover's eyes, right? And the comparison that we have there is a simile, but it is in the negative form, rejecting the exaggerated cliche that Petrarch's poem or the Italian poets are doing during this time. In the second line, we have the poet comparing his lover's lips to coral. So coral is typically like a red pinkish color, and he's saying that her lips are not like that. They're just ordinary lips. And we have another comparison there. We have a metaphor. In the third line, he is talking about her complexion, and he's saying that her complexion is this like dull gray brownish color, and it's like an unflattering complexion, which is opposite to the Petrarch's poem people or the Italian poems, where they would be like she has like the snow white skin and so on and so forth. In the fourth line, he's talking about her hair. So typically the Petrarch's poets or the poems from the Italian people would compare their lover's hair or their soulmate's hair to like this golden blondish hair that looks nice, but that's not what Shakespeare does here. He says that her hair looks like wire, black wire, so it's not soft, it's not flowing, it's like black frizzy and it's a mess. Line 5 and 6 are talking about the color in her cheeks. So he's basically saying that there is no color in her cheeks, or her cheeks are just pale, they're normal, they're not like how a female model's cheeks would look like. Thinking about like blush, like pinkish, reddish blushed cheeks. And if you haven't realized it by now, let me just tell you that the poet is not saying very nice things about his lover. I want to go as far as to say that he's insulting his lover. And in line 7 and 8, he's basically saying that his lover's breath smells bad and that there are perfumes that smell way better than his lover's breath. And at this moment in time, we realize, or we should have realized by all the other things that have been said, that she is a normal, ordinary human being. She has bad breath. She has messy hair. There are days when she doesn't look, this good in makeup and whatever. So all of these points that have been made so far drive the point that this is a normal human being who is just ordinary. In line 9 to 10, he says that he loves to hear her speak, but then there is music, that is far more pleasant to listen to, or that sounds better than listen to her speak. Not like listening to her speak, but that just sounds better than her voice. In line 11 and 12, he says that he's never seen a goddess walk, but his mistress, she just tramps on the floor. In her walking, she's not graceful, she's not elegant. And I think this just drives home the fact that she isn't like this divine being. She is human, she's ordinary, she's not graceful. And also the fact that she is a real person. So typically goddesses have like this elegant way of walking, and she's not like that. Think of Miss Trunchbull from Matilda, the way she's like storms down the hall. And in line 13 to 14, we see the change in heart, or the change in tone, or the shift in the poem rather, where he says, and yet, right? So he's basically saying that he swears that he has the sincerest of love for his mistress or his lover, right? And that he loves her despite all her flaws. He doesn't need to paint this beautiful picture of this beautiful woman. He embraces her the way he is, and this is where we see that he has true love for her, because it takes someone who genuinely loves you to love you with all your flaws, or with all your stinky breaths, and so on and so forth. We are now at the turning point of the poem, right? So which is the volta. So basically, the last two lines of the sonnet are called a rhyme. They are a rhyming couplet. Sorry, looking at the structure of the poem, which we'll go into a little bit later. And this is the turning point of the poem. This is where we realize that even though the last other 12 lines of the poem, the poet was kind of like saying mean things or insulting his lover or having a anti-complimentary things to say about his lover. This is where we see that he does indeed love her, and his love for her is not just skin deep. He loves her for who she is, and he doesn't need to exaggerate his love for her. Some historical context. So basically, when Shakespeare wrote this poem, there was a large number of Petrarch's poems, right? And basically, they would exaggerate the beauty of their subject, their lover, whoever they were writing about. It would be exaggerated, slightly unrealistic, and an idolized point of view. So Shakespeare writes this poem as a parody, right? Humor. He is mocking the Petrarch's poems with the way he writes his poem. What we should note in this specific poem is that Shakespeare presents a realistic view of his lover, right? Because it is normal for people to have bad breath and to be imperfect. And that's what Shakespeare presents in this poem, an imperfect version of his lover. And that is where genuine love comes in. Like I said, it takes someone who sees all your flaws, all your imperfections, and still choose to love you. Then it is genuine love. Looking at the structure of this poem, it is a Shakespearean or an Elizabethan sonnet. It has 3 quatrains, so each quatrain has 4 lines, quatrains being stanzas, and then it also has a rhyming couplets, which are the 2 last lines. The rhyming scheme is A B C D E F, and then G towards the end because it's a rhyming couplet, meaning the last 2 lines rhyme. Yeah, and then the rhyming couplet, like I said, that is where we have the turning point, the final argument of the poem. What is the message of the poem? And the main message of this poem is that this person genuinely loves his lover, and he doesn't need to pretend or act like she's this perfect being. He loves her for who she is, and that is, like I said, genuine love. There is a nice summary for us there. Feel free to pause the video and read it. Thank you so much for watching. We finally have an outro. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, peace. Bye.